most parents are usually looking out for engaging summer camps to enroll their children. So, by the end of the 2020-2021 academic year, sometime in June, my team and I decided to put together an inclusive summer camp for about 30 children for a period of 4 weeks. The whole essence of the summer camp was to have children without special needs and children with special needs together under the same roof, learning together, playing together, and generally having an awesome experience. These children had to be from ages 3 to 13. By the beginning of the first week of the summer camp, I decided to observe the interaction of children without special needs with children with special needs. I noticed fear, anger, and anxiety in the interaction of children without special needs with children with special needs. So I decided to ask them a few questions. To one, I asked, why do you think Taylor could not read during literacy class? To another, I asked, why do you think Zion could not get on the swing or the slide during outdoor? And to another, I asked again, why do you think David kept on yelling out during movie time? Their responses were, I think Taylor is just being lazy and forgetful. Zion is just being babyish and too fearful. David is such a spoiled child who lacked home training. If I were to ask everyone seated here today the same question, I wonder what our responses will be. If I were asked the same questions 14 years back, my response would have been different from the ones the children at the summer camp gave. Incidentally, my first experience with a child with special needs was 14 years back when I volunteered at a preschool as a teaching assistant. I volunteered at the school 3 times a week. By the end of the first week, I noticed this particular child who wouldn't take part in anything taking place in the classroom. At some point, I felt probably he was ill or too tired. But whenever we tried to reach out to him, he would look away, try to bite you, or cry. I was worried. I gave it another week. By the end of the second week, I noticed the same repulsive behavior. So I walked up to the classroom teacher. I said to her, why isn't he participating in everything going on in this class? And the teacher said, shh. I wasn't taking that for an answer. So I walked straight to the school administrator. I said to her, there's this child in our classroom. He's with us, but he's not a part of our classroom. She said to me, Miss Lola, we've observed the same behaviors and we had called for the parent. But they said to us that there's nothing wrong with that child and they wanted the child to be in the classroom like every other child and learn. Now we are faced with the dilemma of having to include or teach him. I was very worried about this situation and I needed to do something about it. So I went to Google and typed the signs I saw in this child. Voila, it was autism. Google also explained to me that there were other kinds of disability, like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, emotional disturbances, dyslexia, just to name a few. Then I said, if we have such students, do they get educated? And if they get educated, how do we educate them? Then Google also gave me some options of some schools in Nigeria where we had teacher training colleges that teachers could learn to teach these children. But the challenge was they only provided services and support for children who had physical impairment, hearing impairment, and visual impairment. I needed a school that would provide support for children who had emotional disturbances or autism like the child I saw in the classroom. So I researched further. And again, Google gave me some options of schools that adopted evidence and research-based practices to supporting these children in the classroom. So I packed my bag and headed straight to Meredith College in North Carolina to obtain a Master's of Arts in Teaching Special Education. While at Meredith College, I learned quite a lot of things. I learned that these disabilities are sometimes caused by the damage to the brain. I learned that there were different severities. We have the mild, the moderate, the severe, and the profoundly severe cases. I also learned that some of these students could learn, actually most of them could learn, if only we focus on the strength and not their weaknesses. I learned that we need to be very empathetic. Not only empathetic, you also have to equip yourself and your students with self-advocacy, self-esteem, and self-dependent skills. I learned that every child can learn, every child should learn, and every child must learn. I learned that disability is not the end of the world, it's only a different ability. I learned that when you receive a diagnosis of a disability, you need to brace up. As a parent, it's okay to go through the different stages of grief, which includes denial, shock, depression, and anger. But then you need to get to acceptance so that you can make meaning of what is going on with your child. Still in my journey in the space of special needs, I met with a lot of amazing individuals. This is Kanye. Kanye was diagnosed with autism at the age of 5. Today, Kanye's artwork graced the walls of different galleries in Nigeria, Africa, and across Europe. This is Moni. Moni was diagnosed with autism. Today, Moni and his band have performed in different parts in Nigeria and internationally. This is Tobiloba. Tobiloba was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. Tobiloba holds a master's in international law. She has authored several books, and she's also the founder of Let Cerebral Palsy Kids Learn, an organization that provides and supports inclusive education for children with cerebral palsy. This is Moi. Moi is a child diagnosed with Down syndrome. Moi is a ballerina, and she has performed on different platforms here in Nigeria. This is Dubem. Dubem was diagnosed with autism. Today, Dubem is a 2-time Paralympic gold medalist. This is Emma. Emma was my student back in North Carolina. Emma was diagnosed with a congenital disease, and her parents were told that she would never walk, speak, or see her first birthday. Today, Emma is a part of the team that won the U.S. National Sled Hockey Tournament just last year. Now, this is Rosalind. Rosalind could not even spell her own name. She was diagnosed with dyslexia at the age of 17. Today, Rosalind is a manager at an hospitality and tourism organization in Ghana. She also heads an organization that provides support and services for children with dyslexia. This is Mike Jones. Mike could not even spell his own name at the age of 8. Today, Mike is the founder of Lesson Learning. Lesson Learning is an organization that provides support for children with dyslexia based in UK, but they have their presence in over 190 countries. Time will not permit me to speak to you about Professor Temple Grandin of the Colorado University and Professor Stephen Shaw of the Alderfield University. That both professors doing well and they're living with autism. Now, I would not be able to share these stories with you today without the support and love of the parents of these individuals, their family members, their friends, and the society at large. Back to my story of the children at the summer camp. Having listened to their responses, I thought to explain to them how the brain works. You see, the brain controls every part of our body. How we smile, when we're sad, when we're hungry, when we're tired, when we need to sleep, when we need to learn. And the brain does this with the help of the neurons. So the brain sends messages to the neurons, and the neurons helps us interpret what we need to do. But for these children, and for some of them with disability, there's a damage in the brain, and due to that damage, they misinterpret these messages, and that's the reason for their weird behaviors. I hope that with these stories I've shared with you today, that when next you come across an individual with special needs, you will not look at them with disgust or fear or thinking that they are demonic, but you will truly understand and see the strength that they carry. You will be willing and you'll be more empathetic to hold them and help them bring out the best in them. I also hope that when next you meet an individual with special needs, you will be more patient, you'll be more understanding, you will be more empathetic, and also be more loving to advocate for them and to ensure that they access inclusive education and an inclusive world. Thank you.